Hello, Texas Longhorn fans. Today, Steve Habel, our Horns Illustrated senior contributing writer, was on the press conference with Coach Herman, where he asked Coach Herman some very interesting questions, and we wanted to share those questions and also Coach's responses. They're excellent. Take a listen.
Steve, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. First of all, you guys as coaches talk about how you learn so much from a team that loses. Well, you've had a couple of weeks in a row to learn a lot about your team, obviously. Tell us about that a little bit. And then also talk about how the leadership council, you talked about how they needed to really take charge after the loss to TCU. How have they done in that role, Coach?
Yeah, well, they've presented a couple different measures of accountability for off-field issues. We have a saying in our program, how you do anything is how you do everything. And we needed our players themselves and leaders on our team needed to hold certain guys more accountable. And so we've implemented an accountability run pre-practice every Tuesday. Each guy is put on a team, an accountability team. We've got 10 of them. We've got leaders within that team that it's their job to make sure that guys are getting to their tutors, guys are getting to mandatory meals, guys are getting to mandatory lifts and all of those things. Guys are, they're encouraging guys to do the things extra beyond the 20 hours that we all know is necessary to win championships. So I think that implementation of a team-based accountability schedule, I think has certainly helped. But I think, we see things a lot different than maybe other people see them. When you're in the fire, when you're in the crucible, and you watch the film and you're at our practices and you watch the effort level. The effort level is phenomenal. And that was one thing that, you lose a couple games and you worry about guys, quote unquote, packing it in, guys not giving everything they got. Boy, we had some really, really intense practices. And I think part of it is they realize, we've got 6 regular season games left, and we've got all of the teams that are at the top of the standings in our conference right now through 3 games, if you want to even call it standings. We've got all of those guys in front of us. And so we've just got to continue on this trajectory. There is no doubt in my mind that everybody in that locker room sees tangible improvement. Through 4 quarters to hold Oklahoma to under 400 points, 5 of 16 on third down with 3 turnovers. That's improvement compared to the way that we played against Texas Tech. To hold TCU to 5 field goals, I believe it was, and where against Texas Tech, it was a touchdown every time they got in the red zone. That's improvement. And, so I think these guys are continuing to see the improvements that they're making. Obviously, the big one is the self-inflicted wounds. I think, watching a little bit of football across the country, there's a lot of teams struggling with that right now. In our past 2 games, although we've lost, our opponent has actually had more penalties than we have. It feels like ours come at much worse opportunistic times than our opponents do. But the number of penalties is actually, we've been less than our opponent for 2 weeks in a row. So we have seen a lot of tangible differences, a lot of tangible improvements, and the team has as well. And so what gives us all confidence is, one, knowing this is, we're talking about, we're a third of the way through our conference schedule. And, we've got everybody that we're looking up at still left on our schedule. And so that is very encouraging, and our guys know that if we stay together and continue to improve the way that we have, that we still have a very realistic opportunity to have a great season. And these guys understand that, and they have not fractured in the least. I think, especially around here, if you start paying attention to the noise and the internet and the Twitter and the constant bashing after losing a 4 overtime ball game, then there are pitfalls to that. And we had Ryan Holiday, in fact, best-selling author of The Obstacle is the Way, Ego is the Enemy, Stillness is the Key. If you haven't read them, read them. They're great books. But the one that stood out to me, well, they all did, and he touched upon each one briefly. Obstacle is the way. Finding opportunity in every obstacle, because it's there. It exists. Every obstacle. And it's not the obstacle itself that's going to make or break you. It's how you respond to the opportunity that obstacle has presented you. When you get into ego is the enemy, it's okay to be confident. And we want our guys to be very, very confident. But every great empire, every great organization, every great company, every great family has been that has fallen. That downfall has been from the inside out, and it's been from individuals and their egos. And our guys, the main point that Ryan wanted to drive home is that none of us in this room, myself included, Ryan Holiday included, have the answers to everything. And so we need to attack every day with a student mindset. And our guys that really resonated, but probably the biggest thing that resonated was his third point, which was stillness is the key. And you cannot have a still mind. You cannot be fully focused on your task at hand on Saturday, which requires an unbelievable, almost superhuman level of focus and intensity to compete at the highest levels in this sport. You can't do that with a distracted mind. You can't do that with noise in your brain. You can't do that if you let the different parts of your life bleed into that. And so as much as we've preached that over the 4 years that we've been here in terms of eliminating the distractions and eliminating the noise that this place is, that the University of Texas is so famous for, and in a good way too. I mean, when you're winning around here, man, things are great. You drop a couple heartbreakers, and there can be a lot of noise out there that can be very attractive to an 18 to 22-year-old young man that lives on social media to draw his attention away from the stillness of mind and focus that's necessary to win and compete at a very elite level. And so I think those really, really hit home, and our guys are as dialed in and unified as ever.